Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Zelira Investor Briefing. My name is Ron Betchler. I'm Executive Chair of Market Eye, and I'm hosting today Zelira Chairman Osagie Imasogie and Zelira Global CEO Oludare Odumosu. A bit of housekeeping just quickly. We have about 45 minutes allocated for this webinar. Both Osagie and Dare will walk through a slide deck and then we'll open up for Q&A afterwards. I've already had a few questions submitted from shareholders, and if you would like to ask questions on this session, and I'll be moderating the Q&A at the end, please type them into the Q&A box. With that, I'll hand across to Osagie to start taking us through the slide deck with Dare. Thank you, Osagie.
Thank you very much, Ron, and thank you everyone for participating in this investor call. We're excited to get in front of our investors and shareholders again and take you through what we are excited about with regards to our company, Zelira. Dare, if you don't mind, go to the next one. Actually, before you do that, what is crucial about Zelira, what is important to understand and to keep in mind, is that we are a biopharmaceutical company. And we are a biopharmaceutical, which means that there's a certain timeline that is required for us to create these really new drugs into the marketplace. But we are also one that is pretty much diverse. We have a multiple shot on goal strategy. So we do have the hardcore, hard science biopharmaceutical component, and Dare will talk a little bit more about that in terms of the clinical trials that we have and things of that sort. But we also have an OTC play that allows us to get to the market quickly and start generating some additional revenue to help support the company and its operations. So we're a very unique biopharmaceutical company that's actually generating revenue, which is rather unusual. And our OTC play is split into two buckets. The oral care play, where we have one product already, and Dr. Odumosu will talk about more that is coming, and our dermatological play, where we have successfully launched 5 products to the market. So, Dare, please go to the next slide. So there are a couple of elements that constitutes what we're doing in Zelira. The uniqueness of it is that it gives investors multiple shots on goals. We are not a one-trick pony. And if one initiative crystallizes and generates revenue, that's fantastic. If the other one doesn't do as well, that's not the end of the world, because we have multiples that we can try. We are playing in the global marketplace already. For a company of our size, we already have a footprint in the US. We already have a footprint in Australia. We are on the verge of getting a footprint hopefully in Germany through the announced deal that we had with our partners in Germany. We are also looking at the possibility of getting a footprint in New Zealand. We've already announced that we have a partner there that we're working with. And we also have a footprint in the UK, because we've already announced that we have a deal with Health House. So we're global in terms of our operations. And again, what that means is that it helps us to diversify any kind of risk that the company may have. We're absolutely focused on the biopharmaceutical side on getting clinically validated products. That has become our theme, our distinction. We believe that cannabinoids, which are the basic molecules in the cannabis plant, are drugs. We view them in that context because we have a strong pharmaceutical industry background. And so we've developed products both for our OTC over-the-counter market and for our prescription market, our RX market, that are derived from cannabinoids. The distinction is that the new drugs that we create for our RX market the cannabinoids that they are derived from are from cannabis. So those are regulated. And there's a need to have a physician intervention before the patients can get the drug. We do the same thing for our OTC, but this time the cannabinoids are derived from hemp. And in most jurisdictions, hemp is not regulated. It doesn't require the need of a physician before the patient can get the product. So that's the distinction. But in both instances, whether we're doing it for our RX business or we're doing it for our OTC business, we seek clinical validation for the products. And when we launch these products, because we have a global footprint, we tend to launch them globally. So we have products that we've launched in the US initially, and we've been able to do effective tech transfer to Australia. And now we've launched them in Australia. So we have 3 products that we've launched into Australia. And so that global footprint also is crucial in terms of us being able to launch products. I mentioned earlier on that it's very unusual for a biopharmaceutical company that is just over 2 years old to actually be generating revenue. But we have done what most biopharmaceutical companies are unable to do, which is we're generating revenue. Right now, it's picking up. We expect that to continue. We have been able to have quarter-on-quarter growth in our revenue. And we're very pleased with that because, again, it supports our multiple shots on goal strategy. In some quarters, some products do better than others, but at the end of the day, we've had quarter-on-quarter growth in our revenue. And we have a whole strategy that we've developed that gets us very fast commercialization. And we'll talk about that in a little bit later, which is called the launch, learn, and develop strategy. Daria, please go to the next slide. The bottom line is this: we've been very active. I remind people that we started Zelira, I think it was January of 2020. So just over 24 months ago. And in that period of time, we've had a host of milestones that we have successfully achieved. They are self-evident. I'm not going to read every single one. But the bottom line is that they've been focused on new products that have been launched into the market, both on the OTC and the RX side. And they've also been focused on new technologies that the company has developed and been able to commercialize. Please keep on going. Daria, please go to the next slide. We did a couple of very unique transactions that we were extraordinarily excited about. They were unique because it's not normal for a biotech company to have an investor come into it in a publicly traded platform and invest cash at a 50% premium to the then market price. But we were able to achieve that feat. And we raised $5 million from the US from a family office. And it was done at a premium to the company's then market price. We've also been able to do a couple of very interesting things, such as we did the stock consolidation for our company. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that just to make it clear how excited we were about that particular transaction. So before the stock consolidation, we had approximately 1.6 billion shares outstanding, which is a huge number of shares. The simplest way to understand it is that, if you had 100 pennies in your pocket, we gave you $1. So you still have your 100 pennies. It's just that it's now in a dollar form. And that was the consolidation we did. We did a 175 to 1 consolidation. At the time we did that consolidation, we had a 99.55% vote in favor of the consolidation. So we're quite pleased with that. And of course, we had a unanimous vote in favor of it. And so that took us from a penny stock into a dollar level stock. Again, I emphasize you still have your 100 pennies. It's just now in a dollar form. And that was why we did the consolidation. It helped us better manage the company, and it moved us from a situation where there were a host of potential investors who could not invest in our stock because it was a penny stock. Now that we're more of a dollar stock, designated in dollars, there are other people who could possibly invest in our company. So it was a strategic move that was very important, and that we had a 99.55% vote in favor of. So we're quite pleased with that. I will now hand over to Dr. Odumosu to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And once again, I welcome all of our shareholders to this briefing. As our chairman has stated, we are a multiple shots on goal company, and we are very, very pleased with that strategy. Not only does it allow us to touch multiple areas and give us a potential to really create unique value, both for the company and for our shareholding community, but also it allows us to generate revenue from multiple streams at multiple levels on multiple scales. Just very quickly, I'm going to touch on just a few of those. Within our, what I call our revenue stream one, which is based on our launch, learn, and develop model, where we can take advantage of the current landscape within the cannabis or cannabinoid-based medicine a frame of operation. And within that legal framework, we can launch a product. Say, for example, in the United States, where we can launch products in states like Pennsylvania, because there are already conditions for which the state has said medical cannabis can be used effectively and safely for. We can launch those products. We can then, within the population that is learning and using the products, we can gain information. And what we do is, when we do that, we are able to layer on observational studies, real world empirical studies, give us more information about the product, what feedback, how it is, how the patients are using it. And then we have a plethora of options as to what to do with that information. We can either use it to tweak the product, we can use it to develop new products, or use it as an understanding for enhancing the clinical validation of the products we have. This model has been very successful for us as a company in the last 24 months. It has allowed us to launch products in the US, tech transfer them to Australia, but also to take products from Australia, which is a first world regulatory country where cannabis is legal at the federal level, and use that as a springboard to launch products into other highly regulated markets like Germany, like New Zealand. Very specifically in Germany, where we've announced a partnership with Agrifarm, we are looking forward to the prospects of a B-Farm approval in Germany, which will then allow Zenvol to be launched in Germany with the clinical validation that we have parked behind it, and generate revenue, and then continue to use that to move it to even greater levels of clinical validation as expected, or regulatory approvals. Within our OTC market and revenue stream two, our oral care subsidiary continues to do well. We've launched one product in the US. It is generating revenue for us. We are going to launch additional products in that space, and we'll be bringing that announcement to you as they come up. As well, within the dermatology subsidiary in the United States, we've launched a brand called RA5. And in that subsidiary, there are 5 products that fall within a monograph treatment of based on the salicylic acid treatment of acne. This is a very exciting space, a very unsatisfied space, about an $11 billion market space, where most of the products there that are being used, customers remain unsatisfied. Why are they unsatisfied? Because the treatments that are available today tend to address one or just one of the cascade that leads to the sequence of acne. We got together with the right people, which I'll talk about later, as to how we created those products. But in essence, we formulated patent protected 5 products, launched them into the marketplace late last year, and then much more strongly early this year. And we're generating revenue under that subsidiary as well. Another way we're generating revenue at Zelira right now is through our clinical trials, the products we've launched in that space. One is we've announced, and we are actively managing a trial in the pain and sports space with our partners at Living Health. What we're doing in that space is, one, because of our expertise in clinical trial design, in protocol execution and approvals under the auspices of the TGA, we can accelerate a path to getting products validated for launch in this space. And in return, we get paid to do that. So we can formulate proprietary products. We can partner them with the right people who have the capacity to, in this case, they have within the sports platform, can access the demographic for which we need to participate to validate the product. That partnership is very unique. It allows us to accelerate products through the marketplace and, in essence, receive revenue for it. 2 other things that are very important in that space is we continue to validate the products that we have launched. In the autism space, we're expecting to read out in the next few months results from our real-world evidence studies in partnership with Emiria Clinics in Australia, where we have 2 separate trials that are being concluded now, and we expect to read out those results. So within that space, we are doing clinical trial work, and we're also generating revenue because these products are also being sold being prescribed and being sold. The 5th way Zelira is generating revenue currently is through what we call our true pharma, or RX, or potential to generate revenue, as I should say. This particular revenue stream is very exciting for us. Why is that? Recently, we announced a clinical trial as a comparative head-to-head against a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical product. Why is this very important? Why is this particular space very important? One, we've targeted a multi-billion-dollar product. This is a huge target. 2, we're doing this trial in a head-to-head fashion, which gives us multiple shots on how we define our success. Based on what we know about this multi-billion-dollar drug, we are quite confident that one of the shots on goal that we have is we will beat this drug on side effects, because we already know the side effect profile of this drug. Then and in addition to that shot, there are 2 other shots, or at least 2 other shots on goal in terms of efficacy. So it allows us to focus on success by when this study reads out. So point number 3 on that is we expect to read out the results from this trial later this year. It could be as early as next quarter. Our team is hard at work, and we are very excited about this trial because it was powered to show statistical significance. And should this readout be what we expect, this could potentially put our company in a completely different position. So taken together, Zelira is already generating revenue through some streams, has the potential to generate significant value and revenue through additional streams that I've discussed. As I've said, our launch, learn, and develop model really works for us because it allows us to design trials with a high level of confidence and sets Zelira on a path to differentiated value So we can launch products, learn about them, use that information in multiple ways. Our pipeline at Zelira is very rich, and it cuts across multiple geographies. In 24 months, what we've communicated to our investor family, we have done or we're in the process of doing. In 24 months, Osagie has discussed some of the milestones we've hit, but the prospects of the next few months is even more exciting as we continue to launch, develop products, launch them into the marketplace, set them up for success, and also add to the clinical validation. And it gives us multiple shots. And we're doing that in many different geographies. Some we've announced and some we are yet to announce. So taking together our company as products launched, we have technologies licensed, we have the prospects of additional product launches, and they are happening across multiple platforms and in multiple countries. Very quickly, I just want to remind us, or for those that are new investors to our company, just give us a synopsis of what some of these products under our portfolio, what they are and how they are doing. We developed the Hope range of products, which consists of 2 products in the United States, in partnership with a grassroots autism group. And since 2019, this product has been launched, has been licensed in the United States, has been tech transferred to Australia under the auspices of the TGA, is available under the SAS program for prescribers and patients, has also been enrolled in additional real-world data evidence to validate it. And also we've also announced a distribution partnership for this product in New Zealand with our partners at Nubu Pharmaceuticals. So we're excited about Hope. It targets a autism spectrum disorder. And for those that either have a ward or a family member, this is a space where the signal to noise ratio is very clear. Ask somebody who is taking care of a person with autism. They will tell you if the medicine works or not. The alternative drugs that are currently in the market that are approved, for example, in the US by the FDA, that have or leave this patients with debilitating side effects. We are constantly humbled by the testimonies we receive from patients and prescribers, both in the United States and Australia, where these products are commercialized, about the response of their patients or their children to Hope 1 medicine and Hope 2. This is a global market that is very attractive, and we believe that we can make a significant impact in this space. Secondly, I want to talk to you about Zenibol. Zenibol is a very exciting product for us because in Zelira, in 2020, we read out the results for the first product that is cannabinoid based, that has gone through clinical validation for the treatment of chronic insomnia. The study met its primary and secondary endpoints, statistically significant difference in the improvement of the symptoms of insomnia, and received approval to be commercialized again under the SAS program in Australia, and is available for physicians and patients. Zenibol is a very differentiated product, not only because of its or a traditional clinical trial, but also because it received peer review publication in the Journal of Sleep, one of the world's most premier journal that deals with sleep-related science or development. This is the validation that gives physicians the confidence to prescribe Zenibol for their patients. For background, insomnia affects, in the United States, for example, 30 to 40% of the population. On a global scale, the numbers are quite similar. This product is commercialized in Australia. We've announced and we are expecting approval from B Farm for the sale of Zenibol in Germany. We've also announced and begun the process to get Zenibol approved in New Zealand, while looking to other licensing prospects, as well as additional regulatory prospects to advance Zenibol on the regulatory approval scheme. So we're very excited. And again, as I said, it is generating revenue for us. To switch gears a little bit from our RX, the two products I've spoken to you fit within our RX business, contains THC, requires the intervention of a physician. To switch gears a little bit more to our OTC space, we are quite excited. As I said, our oral care product is doing very well. We launched it in the United States. It received significant success. It is available in addition to distribution through traditional distribution channels. It is available on the e-commerce platform as well as on Amazon. And we continue to explore expanded distribution. Within the year of its launch, it also, we landed a deal in the UK, a distribution deal, which we are positioned to with Health House International. And we're excited about that prospect as well. Again, multiple shots on goal, multiple opportunities to expand the products we've created. Under this subsidiary as well, we are about to launch additional products. Why is this product exciting for us? It's because it has one of the most unique profiles in terms of an oral care, natural oral care product in the marketplace. Contains hemp-derived cannabidiol, black seed oil, and zinc, the combination of which gives us unique ingredients that has multiple benefits in terms of health benefits and touch points. That gives it a profile that is very, very attractive and attracts the types of testimonials that continues to expand its reach in the marketplace. That is very exciting for us as a company. Everything we do in terms of product development is fully science-backed, science-backed, and we also like to partner with experts in the space. We did that in the oral care space. We're also doing it in the dermatology space. In this space, this is quite exciting because we partnered with one of the world's most renowned clinical dermatologists. Some say arguably she's, some people refer to her as the dermatologist of the stars because her practice expands across the United States and may include some notable persons. But Dr. Karen, a very brilliant dermatologist, brought to the table the understanding as to how effective acne treatment should be. Our chairman often says, when given a tabula rasa, the only thing you should do is write what you please on it. So with that thought in mind, how would you effectively treat acne? We took all that understanding, got the right scientists in the room. It led to the development of a unique technology. It was unique enough that we quickly put some patent protection around it. So that technology by itself is exciting. Then we use that technology to create those 5 products I told you about. You're looking at actual product packaging. Aesthetically, we've received raving praise about it. It is starting to get the type of trajectory and brand awareness in the target demographic, because there are options. There are 5 options. There's a cleanser, there's a spot-on treatment, there's a SPF, there's a moisturizer, and there's a cleansing pad, all of which, both from the look, the feel, the technology, the application, we have thought about almost everything, and it works. This is also powered by actual consumer use studies that gives you the before and after product results that allows us to make marketing claims for the treatment of acne based on the salicylic acid monograph. Very exciting space, very exciting set of products, very exciting partnerships in the industry to validate and push this product. And we're very excited about the prospect of growth with this. So again, as I said, these are all exciting things. One other thing, I started to talk about, not only are we a product company, but we also develop technologies. We developed a technology that became the platform for which we built the xyloma technology, which we built the RAF5 brand. But also in the industry as a whole, Zelira is also working on multiple technologies. We announced some of the work we did in partnership with Curtin University, where Zelira developed, where researchers at Curtin University developed CBD capsules that enhances the transport of cannabinoid across the blood-brain barrier, 40 orders of magnitude better than without the technology. These are the things these are the types of value we are creating in Zelira. Very quickly, I want to share one with you that we announced at the end of last year. We called it the EDCDM technology, as the name implies. This technology allows us now to be able to make capsules and tablets in the format that is very, very similar to what you know as your medicines in the pharmaceutical space. Why is that important? The nature of distillates, cannabinoid distillates, is such that it has been difficult to capture that. As such, the market was had to settle for liquid-filled capsules or distillate that is mixed with beeswax and other types of carrier oils. And needless to say, we're excited that now we can present to the marketplace, to the industry, a technology that allows you to make free flow powder that is cannabinoid based, looks like your regular capsules, and can be punched into tablets. Imagine what we can now do with that. I've always said that this space will not scale up, or will only scale up when we can make dosage forms that resemble traditional pharmaceutical medicines. Now we can do that. To validate that, we announced a foundational deal at the end of last year, where it was a deal where we now received partial payment for the upfront payment of that. Our partners have the option to develop 3 products in that technology, and we receive royalties. So within our licensing scheme, there are multiple shots on revenue for us as a company. But I don't want it to be lost on us, the value of this technology and the excitement that this technology is starting to create because of its functional use in the industry. As I said, now we can capture a distillate, we can then turn them into capsules, and it can be free flow. It doesn't sip out of the powder bed. And the dissolution profile of the drugs that are created, or the products created with this technology, in simulated tests have shown that they have a better dissolution profile. So there's so many things that this technology does that makes us very excited as a company. This slide just highlights what I call the future of our company. Multiple patents granted or allowed, multiple patents under prosecution in many, many regions of the world, across significant therapeutic areas of unmet need, across therapeutic areas with great market potential and commercial value potential. And we're playing in all of these spaces. This is very, very big. And I continue to say to our investor community, this is the future of our company. We will be able to go out and capitalize on this patents that we have and more to come. Our patent family continues to grow within our company. Of course, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We have been receiving coverage in the financial space, in the media space, about the work we've been doing. and these are significant. These have been significant over the last 24 months and continue to be. A few points on the proposed health house transaction. We have to date announced the execution of the scheme or the deed that allows us to proceed and allows Health House to go before their shareholders to receive shareholder approvals. From Zelira's perspective, we are very excited about this opportunity to create additional value as a combined entity. We welcome Health House International shareholders, but a few points as to what this transaction does, or some of the key points I want to leave us with, I want us to keep in mind. The acquisition creates an organization with very, very strong medicinal cannabis products and distribution capacities across multiple geographies. As you know, Health House is an international distributor of medical cannabis products, and they currently hold a number of strategic licenses to distribute, to store, to import, to export, and sell controlled drugs. So what that says then is that Health House is very positioned with early movers advantage in this space, especially in the UK and in Europe and in the medical cannabis markets in those spaces. So, you know, they have all of those capabilities and regulatory know-how and they have supply agreements in place with several pharmaceutical CGMP certified manufacturers and producers of high quality medicinal products. They hold EU GMP licenses issued by authorities such as Germany under the framework of the European Commission and other leading authorities. And they themselves, Health House, own a medicinal cannabis consulting platform in the EU. This has online services in multiple languages. And, you know, they do educational training and healthcare professionals. I'm going through this litany of value that when layered or when brought together with what Zelira is able to do, we have an exciting opportunity. And as I said, we do welcome the Health House shareholders to the Zelira family and with the prospect of us moving together as a combined company. So I already mentioned some of these value propositions, so I will not go through this again. So on the corporate front, on the market front, this slide highlights, as I say, that most of our major shareholders in this company are quite comfortable with the multiple shots on goal strategy and have supported and continue to support the company. And I continue to say to our investment community, the strategy works, and I continue to welcome and ask for your support on the stock market. As I said about our directors, we're backed by experience, we're backed by track record of success, both in the financial space, in the pharmaceutical space, and on a global stage, and with combined, you know, decades of value created and value delivered. So when you think of us as a company and you think of Zelira as a platform, you think of multiple shots, you think of multiple opportunities to deliver value to our investors. And I, as the CEO, continue to thank you and continue to ask for your support in every way. And with that, I yield back to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Oludare. We're open to questions. I would mention maybe two additional things to what Oludare has said. One is about the Health House transaction. Again, we are very excited about it. We think it's a situation where 1 + 1 equals a much larger number. But one of the things that we're particularly excited about is Health House is generating good revenue. And the combination of Health House and Zelira will allow us to move forward our revenue break-even point earlier than we had planned. So we're excited about that. We think that's a real prospect for both companies. The second thing I wanted to add to what Oludare has said about the Health House transaction is one of the uniqueness of Zelira, as we have proven already in this very short period of time, is the ability to come up with new products, both for the RX and the OTC marketplace. What a combination with Health House would do is that it will allow us to maximize that capability, because now we have better control over distribution, and we have better control over that distribution on a global basis. So the combined company would give much higher value than the companies individually. And this is particularly interesting because, as Dr. Odumosu mentioned, we expect to read out some of our clinical trial results in the next couple of months. And if those results turn out to be positive, then one can see a situation where there are more products that could come out with clinical validation that we could push through the Health House channels for distribution. And because they have this very rare, very hard to obtain licenses for manufacturing and the like, plus the clinical trial capability, we can accelerate everything we want to do. So the combination would be one that would be valuable for us and will be valuable for Health House. And that's why we went into the effort to do this. Now, obviously, we have to wait to see what our friends in Health House do in terms of the shareholders vote, but we're hopeful that they would continue to see this opportunity the way we see it and the way they see it for us to enter into the agreement that we did. So just want to make sure that we are crystal clear about what we think could happen with that Health House transaction and how strong a vehicle that we will create. Maybe the last thing about that transaction, it will make Zelira one of a handful of Australian-based companies that have significant footprints in Europe. So just one or two. And Zelira will then enter that club. And that is important because unlike the US, where cannabinoids are still illegal on the federal level and are being done on a state-by-state level, with 36 states now legalizing it in one form or the other, but with still some significant restrictions. Europe, by and large, has legalized medicinal use of cannabis. So to the extent that Health House already has a footprint in Germany and is already active in Germany, Zelira, we are trying to get into Germany through the AdjuFarm announced transaction. This will allow us even a stronger footprint in Germany, which is one of the largest financial markets for cannabinoids in the world. So there are a lot of, I think Oludare used the phrase shot on goals ad nauseum. There are a lot of positive things that can come out of the Health House combination with Zelira. We hope that is the case, but we are ready also as a standalone company to continue to execute on our strategy. But if we did the Health House deal, it will accelerate that and turbocharge it, and we would love to do that deal. So, Ron, we're open to any questions that people may have.
Thank you, Osagie, and thank you, Dare. We've actually kind of used up the time allotted, and with your permission, if we can extend by a few minutes, it'll give us a chance to do some Q&A. Is that okay?
Sure. Let's keep on going.
Thank you. So first question, and we've got a bunch of questions, so I'll try and cover as much as I can, as efficiently as possible. But first question, this is not the first time that you've been in a position with a company like this to grow. Can you, and you've talked quite passionately through about the strategy and the biopharmaceutical approach and the multiple shots on goal. Can you give a bit of history of, when you've done it before and the value you've created?
Absolutely. So I'm a co-founder of a private equity firm. All we do is life sciences. We've raised and deployed over $1.5 billion into this space. So we know a little bit about this space. We've done everything from early stage products. So one of the coolest deals we ever did, we bought an asset that was in development in phase 2. It was a monoclonal antibody. We bought it in phase 2. We bought it at a very good price, at a very, very good price. We spent roughly $70 million moving it forward. Before we finished spending the $70 million bucks, we sold an option to buy the company for $100 million. That option, we didn't sell the company, just the option, and 100% at risk. If they didn't exercise the option, we kept that $100 million bucks. Thank you very much. They did exercise the option and had to pay us another $250 million bucks. So between the time we bought the asset and the time we sold it was 36 months. We bought it for less than $1 million. We sold it for $350 million. We bought it as a phase 2 study that had failed. We sold it as an active phase 2 study. It never left phase 2. And then we put a tail on the deal whereby if the drug was ever approved, we would be paid another $200 million. The drug was subsequently approved and we got paid another $200 million. So we got $500 million out of that deal. The product never left phase 2. Okay. We've done multiple transactions of that sort. In the cannabinoid space, we started a company from scratch in Pennsylvania. In 24 months, we had it at a run rate of $40 million bucks, and we sold it for $225 million bucks. 24 months, okay, right? Reasonable amount of time. So this is what we do. we are really focused on biotech, biopharmaceutical companies. It takes you somewhere between 24 to 48 months to create the kind of value that you can get from these assets. Most of the time in the biotech, biopharmaceutical world, you have no revenue at all. You are doing this based on trials and the potential of the trials. In the case of Zelira, we got revenue, which was a huge add, because that just eases us a little bit in terms of our cash needs. So we've done this quite a lot, and we've been quite successful doing it, both in biopharmaceutical, traditional biopharmaceutical, and in the cannabinoid space. So we're very comfortable doing that.
Thanks. We've got a bunch of questions on various bits and pieces, but really around sales of product and the sales of product over the last, call it 12, 18 months. Have you, and they're all asking similar points around, have the sales been disappointing? How does it align with your growth strategy? What are you doing to help sales accelerate? Can you give us a bit of an overview on those points?
Absolutely. So let's think about sales in two ways, right? Let's think about it in terms of why we did this in the first place. When we did the merger, we could have just kept doing what Zelda did. No revenue, no prospects of revenue. Discussions about potential trials and potential technologies. As I said, we decided to enhance that by doing a quick set of products that would get us revenue from day one. So the aim was to start generating some revenue to ease the pressure on the cash flow of the company. The aim was never to get the revenue. We had no expectation that in 24 months, the revenue would get the company to a break-even place. That's unrealistic, okay? We've done exactly what we wanted to do. The aim was to start giving us shots on goals. At an early stage, we then got confronted with what the whole world dealt with, which is COVID. Of course, that had an impact on everything. But what is amazing is that we continue to grow our revenue quarter to quarter to quarter, even through the COVID period, which again supports the multiple shots on goal strategy. At this early stage, we're going to see how the products perform. We've got great products. We put them into the marketplace. We're seeing different trajectories. they will get to a point where those trajectories will now become more predictable. And when that happens, we will have a much clearer understanding as to what each product will do. Right now, because we have a multiple shot on goal strategy, it's that quarter to quarter increase in revenue that we are targeting. And we are not obsessing about one or the other. We are focused on quarter to quarter growth, and that is what we're achieving. The last thing about our marketing, it's very, very, very important that our shareholders and investors understand this. In the US, cannabis is illegal on the federal level. We don't grow, we don't process, we don't sell. We cannot in America. We're not licensed to do that. But what we do and do very well is come up with some really smart formulations that are patent protected and proprietary. What we're really good at is getting some clinical validation of those products. And then we license it to those in those 30 odd states who can grow, process, and dispense. So we are a little bit removed from what we can control in the US, because once we license it to our partner, they are responsible for that state. Now, we can provide them with support and things of that sort, but they are primarily responsible. And we've been doing that with our partners. It's important to understand that because the bulk of the market in the US right now are people who are interested in selling pot, no matter what they call it, we have to be very, very careful who we choose to be partners. If we get the right partners, they will do well. They have to be partners who are thinking in the medicinal side. We are not going to jeopardize our reputation, nor the quality or reputation of our products that we've got clinical data for. The last thing we want is a partner that does not follow our instructions or our template on the tech transfer and puts out something in the marketplace that doesn't do well. So we're very, very careful who we choose to be partners. And we will get more partners. We're in the midst of a host of discussions, but we are very careful as to who will be our partners. Ex-US is a little bit easier because of the legality of cannabis in a number of jurisdictions. Australia is a small market relatively, but we've got products on the market. That is important because it gives clinical validation. It's under the auspices of the TGA's Special Access Program, and we can take that data set. The bigger value of it is not necessarily the sales in Australia because it's a relatively small market, is to take that data set and take it to larger markets, like what we did with AgriFarm for Germany. Okay. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're very, very comfortable that with all the multiple shots on goals that we have and the quarter-on-quarter growth in revenue, that we're going to continue to create significant value for our shareholders.
We've had a few questions also. You talked about the partners that you have. We've had a few questions just reflecting on sales and the partnerships. You mentioned that you very carefully select partners. You're comfortable with the partners that are on board, and you're comfortable that they're the right partners for Zelira. There's questions around that being asked by various shareholders.
The answer is yes.
Okay, that was the quickest response we've had so far. So we've actually had someone ask whether there'll be some sort of product discounts or trial of oral products available for shareholders. Is that something the board's thought about?
You know, I wish we could do that. The problem is that we're in the States and the oral care products that we've launched so far are in the US under the monographs that the FDA has approved. We have not yet gotten those into Australia. If we do, when we do, glad to give some discounts to our shareholders. We are getting it into the oral care product. We're getting it into the UK through our partners, HHI. And to the extent that we do the HHI transaction, that's even more exciting because now, you know, it's one company. If we don't, HHI will continue to market it for us in the UK. And we're looking at other European markets and other international markets for those products. But if we get into Australia, no problem with a discount for our shareholders.
You mentioned before about COVID supply chain issues. Have they now stopped? And what, or if not, what have you done to mitigate against the impact of that going forward?
Good question, Dare. You want to address that in terms of?
I'm happy to address that. Osagie did say something that, remember that this merger closed on January 2, 2020. The United States shut down on March 4 or March 5, 2020. And in the last 24 months, look at what we've done in such a climate as COVID. We've launched multiple products. We did tech transfers virtually to Australia that met the approval of the regulatory bodies and got products launched in COVID years. We had multiple capital raises, multiple product launches. So Ron, what we've done so far has allowed us to be able to come here today and say, hey, look at the products we've created. But for us, that is not enough because this problems continue to persist. But what we've done is, one, like everybody who is paying attention, we've ramped up our inventory very, very strongly. But then again, the entire world relies on products coming from the far side of the world. And they have to go, because of the space that our products are made in, where, for example, our dermatology product is an FDA monograph product. We are very, very rigorous in terms of keeping to the regulatory pathway. As on our oral care side, a very similar, even more stringent approval. Our product is manufactured in a designated facility that has been twice audited by the FDA. Our ingredients are very specific. So when there's a problem, as we have in the global supply chain space, it materially impacts us. With that understanding in mind, we've upped our inventory purchase. We are receiving good news now that the ports are starting to open. And we are also, the third thing we're doing is we're solidifying our supply structures such that we continue to gain priority and preference with our manufacturers. In fact, so that we are at the front of the line when we need materials. So those are some of the things we're doing to mitigate this COVID climate and supply chain issues across the world. It's not unique to us, but we are making very, very significant strides in making sure that the impact on us is minimized.
Right. Maybe just 3 questions quickly before we close out. Zenivol and Hope, we've had a few questions around those products. What's holding back Zenivol's launch into the US? Why hasn't that already happened?
Good question, simple answer. Zenivol is our most advanced clinical validated product, right? It went through the TGA, went through a clinical trial in Australia, been published in the SLEEP peer-reviewed journal. Guess what that means? It means that the partner that we find for it in the US has to be very special. This is not Hope. This is not the other things we have. This is Zenivol. And so we are in dialogue with a number of parties. This is the closest thing to a traditional pharmaceutical product that we currently have. It will not be the last one, but it is the closest one that we have right now. So our interests are with people who are more pharmaceutical oriented than the regular multi-state operator in the US who makes the bulk of their revenue by selling flour. So that's where they make their money. That's where they put their focus. They're not really medicinally oriented. So finding the right partner for Zenivol is taking more time, and as it should. We're not going to do a bad deal. We're simply not going to do it. What we've done, on the other hand, is we're in America. We love the market. We think it's huge. We're going to crack it. But guess what? There's a world outside of America. So we've taken Zenivol to a market that understands the medicinal aspect, which is Germany. If we get that product into Germany, that's one of the most highly regulated markets in the world. If we get into that, we're a happy campus. Okay, and it further validates the clinical results of Zenivol. So the US is important. We're going to continue to do that. But in the interim, because we're a multiple shot on goal company, we're going to look at other markets to get Zenobol going. At the end of the day, it's revenue is revenue is revenue. And we like to do that.
So I'm conscious we've now gone well and truly over, and it's very late your time on the East Coast of the US. So there's a few questions we haven't answered. I apologize to those participants, and we've tried to cover the key topics from the questions through this. But if anybody else has any other questions, please reach out. We're happy to facilitate answers or some conversations with the company. Dare, Osagie, thank you very much for your time. As I said, I know it's late in the US now, but we do appreciate the overview you've provided about the progress the company's been making and the growth strategy going forward. We look forward to seeing more markets open up, more products released, and obviously the sales revenue continuing to grow quarter on quarter. So
thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time. And for all our shareholders and investors, thank you for your time. We remain open to answering questions as Ron indicated. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening in the US. Have a good day in Australia. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.